I'm Johnny Millennium, this is Victor Lucas, and this is Film Fury. And today we're going to review American Made with Tom Cruise. But first, we want to thank our friends at the VFS School of Film. All right, we just got out of the theater on a very nice summer night, the last of our summer nights. It's going to be raining for the next 8 months.
Yes.
What did you think about this movie?
This was a delight. This was a very cool film. Doug Liman is one of my favorite directors,
Yes.
and I felt like he was in Martin Scorsese territory with this movie.
Very much so.
Right?
I got that. That's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
Very much like that. I was really taken back by this film.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying that because we came off the Tom Cruise Mummy movie of the summer, and that was a summer bomb.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about it before, how much we like Tom Cruise. But after that movie, I'm like, I don't know, man. And
Maybe you're done. Maybe your Tom Cruise quotient has been filled.
Yes, maybe it's kind of over.
Your
maybe
quota,
the quota is over until Top Gun 2 or something like that. But my God, this was a very compelling film.
It really kind of brings you back to why Tom Cruise has been a superstar for so long, right? He's totally at the top of his game in this movie. I guess he really sort of flourishes with good collaborators. Christopher McQuarrie is working with him on another Mission Impossible movie after the great one last time. This is his second time working with Doug Liman. He did the Edge of Tomorrow movie, or Live, Die, Repeat, whatever you want to call it.
Fantastic movie.
Amazing. And Liman is this quirky bird of a director. He's got a really kind of, clever, skewed kind of view of the way he kind of likes to tell his stories. And you can't tell one Doug Liman movie from the other, and that's why I love this guy so much. He's such a journeyman, such an incredible craftsman with the way that he builds his movies, and they feel distinct and they feel a part of the world. And this one is really about that move from the 70s to the 80s and the sort of drug smuggling culture
that was kind of created in that time.
That Cruise's character, Bobby Seale, kind of revolutionizes, and he becomes like this one person.
Yeah.
He's a hero, and he's like a one-person industry that everybody wants to work with.
This is, and I do this a lot with Film Fury.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, American Made, I'll just go and see it. I don't know what it is. He just says, hey, we got a movie to see this Wednesday. I'm like, oh, let's go. And we went, and so I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
And this was so good.
Yes.
And I feel so good saying that after the last Tom Cruise stinker. But what a brilliantly told film about this story.
Yeah.
I mean, the articulation from scene to scene of the emotion of all of the characters. You get to know everybody, the drug cartel that he's dealing with.
Yes.
Obviously, we get to know the politics behind the scene with the CIA who are not hiring him, but they are hiring him. We get to learn about all of the shitty practices that are going on in this movie. And I was a little shocked. And this is based on a real life story.
Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
I know, and it's pretty crazy. I reviewed Narcos on Film Fury, and I've been watching that show religiously on Netflix, and this delves into some of that same Medellin cartel in Colombia.
Yeah.
We've got Pablo Escobar as actually a character in this story, and it was cool to see it from a different context and a different kind of variation of Escobar and some of his cronies in the cartel, because we do get to meet with them. But you're right, we also do get to see some of the government-run agencies that profited or benefited from relationships with cartel folks, as well as the Contras and some of the soldiers, Sandinistas, and then you get these weird cameos. Suddenly Oliver North pops up in this movie, and a young George Bush.
You're the White North. Yeah, you're in the White House.
Yeah, and you're in the White House for a second. But yeah, it's a crazy story, and Bobby Seale's story is apparently a true one. I'm sure some creative embellishment was crafted for this film.
It would have to be, for sure, at times.
But Tom Cruise, so charming.
He absolutely sold it, man.
I can't think of too many other actors that could make the amount of unbelievable shit that happened in this movie believable. But he can do it.
This seemed like, honestly, the first 5 minutes is like one movie.
Yeah.
The next 5 minutes is another movie.
I know.
You're dealing with like 150 movies in here, perfectly well crafted, all together, telling all these different stories that all come together.
Yes, and every single one of these movies, it looks like he's dead. He is going to die. Someone's going to shoot this guy in the head.
It's over.
Right now.
This run, it's over for him.
He's going to crash that plane. All the drugs are going to go flying all over the place. And, there is some daring do and some crazy stunt sequences and basically Cruise.
Good action sequences.
Yeah.
The plane to plane. Remember knocking the other plane and wake the guy
like
up?
there's scenes in this thing where Cruise is literally drowning in the amount of money he's making.
Yeah,
right?
People. There was okay. We have to say this. There was a family in front of us.
Yeah.
They were applauding. They were laughing. They were screaming. They were so into the movie.
Yeah.
And I was really enjoying it for that fact. I thought this family's having a great time out tonight. But just to see what they had to go through. They're flying drugs down and guns back and vice versa and delivering this to this country, this to this country. It was mesmerizing.
Yes.
And it was a history lesson of a time that I didn't really know a lot about.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And the whole sort of way that they framed it too, with kind of VHS technology, with lots of tracking errors and news footage, and Cruise
documentary style,
and docu style, and Cruise is basically narrating the picture and sort of guiding us along through the sort of twists and turns of his story through these confessional video sequences, which he's collecting in this big videotape archive. And that was all super clever and cool too. And the way that they went from the title sequence, and we went into this kind of weirdly almost MTV-esque Dutch camera angles and up the nose shots and super tight shots and a sweaty Cruise, and it was just so artful and so clever and so fun. And
fun.
It's so great to see.
You're having a great time in the movies.
And it's great to see creative people like this just firing on all cylinders, and that collaboration just sparking, and everybody is...
All the actors are just delivering.
They're great.
Sarah White, who plays his wife in this movie, is fantastic.
Yes, she is.
And we get to learn about his life with his family and how he's trying to
trust me? Fuck no.
Hell no, I don't trust you. But then she hugs him.
Yeah.
There were so many great one-liners, and this is a movie that I'm going to go back to over the years.
Yeah.
This is like a kind of a Goodfellas type of movie in that kind of regard. You get to know all the bad guys, and you love them, and you want to see them succeed.
Yeah.
I wanted to see all the bad guys win in this movie.
Well, especially because he's an unscrupulous guy, this Bobby Seale, as portrayed by Cruise, but he's not necessarily an evil guy that's out to, really hurt people or harm people. He's just sort of taking advantages of
the situations.
And they keep happening for him because of his skill as a pilot. And it's a fascinating sort of dive into that era, because it was the Wild West. And they were using...
Things are much more regulated now.
Well, you would think.
To a certain extent, but a little bit better than that.
There's a lot more invasive technologies that exist right now, and a lot more sophistication. And I think you look at something like Sicario as a
great film,
a darker kind of portrait of the sort of realities of modern day drug trafficking and that sort of world.
And this is a little bit more fun take on it, isn't it?
Yeah, which I think
it's kind of unusual, but it's great.
But it's also a little bit of a remove from the actual carnage that happened, and Narcos I think dives deeper into that, and it's a much more fulfilling kind of examination of this dark time. That does continue. But it was kind of a weird time because people were just making it up. I mean, it was almost like they discovered the rampant desire for cocaine and they capitalized on it.
Yeah, and tried to take advantage of the situation, take control of the situation,
yes.
but they never really had control of the situation.
Yes.
And things went spiraling out of control, and that's what the whole movie is about.
And it is amazing, though, when you start to kind of dive into it through these tales that are told for us now as sort of palatable entertainment, to see how much the government has been involved in this all the way along.
And how corrupt they have been.
It's really crazy. And you have to think that that's part of the reason for why they want the movies like this to get made, to kind of look at the conspiracies behind all of this stuff. It's fascinating. It's a little frightening. But
it's never intensely gross. There's no torture.
Not in this movie.
Not in this movie.
Yes.
In other types of movies there is, but not in this one. And I was thankful for that. I just enjoyed the ride. And it's a fun ride.
It was light, and there are some violent acts and some violent things that happen, but it's mostly implied and it's mostly off screen. And it is sort of done with a light touch, a lot more comedic. It doesn't go as dark as Scorsese. I mean, that's one thing that Scorsese does too, right?
Oh, he takes it to the
yeah, like he'll keep it kind of light and fun.
But that's why we like him for those movies.
Yeah, and then someone gets a shovel beaten over their head until they're bashed into a pulp. That doesn't happen in American Made at all.
Yeah, no, it's a fun time with Tom Cruise doing all this evil stuff. But he's not an evil man, as we've already repeating.
Yeah, and I think Cruise, it's fun to see him kind of play against type a little bit, right? He's always roguish. He's always that Maverick kind of guy. This is like if Maverick got into the sort of private sector and said, well, I can take my skills and make some real money.
And there's some good flying sequences as well that are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we're at that point.
Yeah.
What are you going to give American Made?
I think this movie's fantastic. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. How about you?
I'm right there with you. 8.5 out of 10 for me as well. You got to see this movie. Lots of fun.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So if you want to tell stories about the drug cartel, you can learn how to do so at the VFS School of Film. You can go to their one-year program and make your own movies. Go to VFS.edu to learn more.